Imagine a beauty so legendary that even the moon was jealous.
That's how the stories describe young Guifei, one of the four great beauties of ancient China.
And today, we're going deep, deep into her fascinating life.
Really fascinating.
We've got stacks of historical accounts and literary analyses to dig through.
Oh, it's going to be fun unpacking this
It's
all.
going to be a wild ride. So, 8th century China.
The Tang Dynasty,
Incredible wealth.
incredible cultures.
I can practically smell the incense and hear the music.
Drifting through the palace courtyards.
Picture Emperor Xuanzong. Powerful ruler, but
A man who enjoyed the good life.
maybe a little too much, according to what we've read.
That's where young Guifei comes in.
Originally known as Yang Yuan.
She becomes his favorite consort.
Not just any consort.
We're talking obsession level.
Like, the emperor set up a whole relay system just to get her fresh lychee fruit.
Delivered all the way from southern China.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
What was it about Yang Guifei?
What captivated him so much?
Yeah, what was her secret?
Well, the legends say she was stunningly beautiful.
But there had to be more to it, right?
Our sources say she was witty, charming,
A talented musician.
and a dancer.
Imagine that presence.
To hold the attention of an emperor.
An emperor who had thousands of other women.
Literally thousands.
Okay, but here's where the drama really starts. Yang Guifei was initially married to the emperor's son.
A forbidden love.
That's a classic story.
The emperor, he had the marriage dissolved,
By forcing her to become a Taoist nun.
you know, to get around those pesky social taboos,
So forced into a nunnery, separated from her husband.
and then becomes the emperor's consort.
That must cause quite a stir.
Absolutely. But remember, this is the Tang Dynasty.
A bit more, shall we say, open-minded than other periods in Chinese history.
Still, eyebrows were raised.
Especially since the emperor was already known for his lavish lifestyle.
And his growing obsession with Yang Guifei.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It was a precarious situation, even for someone as favored as her.
Life in the palace, even with all the luxury, must have been a constant game of survival.
Thousands of concubines vying for attention, jealous family members.
Ambitious officials lurking in the shadows.
Always waiting for a misstep.
One source even talks about an incident where the emperor threw a tantrum.
And Yang Guifei calmed him down by cutting off a lock of her hair.
What do you make of that?
Shows her adaptability.
Survival instincts.
She knew how to handle the emperor.
Used her wit and beauty to navigate those tricky situations.
She wasn't just a pretty face.
More than just a pretty face.
She was a shrewd player in the game of palace politics.
Speaking of players, there's one we haven't met yet. And Lushan.
Ah, yes, Anne Lucian. Charismatic, ambitious general.
And very close to both the emperor and Yang Guifei, at least at first.
Initially. There's actually a funny story about them.
Oh, let's hear it.
It was Anne Lucian's birthday.
Okay.
Yang Guifei, she gave him a giant swaddling cloth as a gift.
Like for a baby.
Teasing him, calling him a big baby.
I bet the court loved that. What happened?
Well, the emperor walked in, totally confused. Yang Guifei, quick as ever, just laughed and said she'd just given birth to a giant baby.
What would the emperor do? He thought it was hilarious.
Sounds like something straight out of a comedy.
A lighthearted moment, but
But there's a but coming, isn't there?
as Anne Lushan's influence and ambition grew, things took a darker turn. Welcome back to our deep dive into the life of Yang Guifei,
We were just talking about those complex relationships in the Tang court.
especially those involving Yang Guifei and Anne Lushan, the ambitious general.
Right. And her cousin Yang Guosam was a big part of it too.
He was the chancellor, the emperor's right-hand man.
What was their relationship like?
It wasn't good.
Not good at all.
They were rivals.
For power?
For power. Our sources say they clashed constantly over policy, influence,
It sounds like a power struggle.
right under the emperor's nose.
And Lushan gaining power. Yang Guosam trying to hold on.
And Yang Guifei stuck in the middle.
Doesn't sound like it ends well. No. And there was growing unrest in the empire.
What kind of unrest?
Economic troubles, military losses,
People were unhappy,
and the emperor maybe a little distracted.
distracted by his love for Yang Guifei.
Perhaps. People thought he was neglecting his duties.
So An Lushan saw an opportunity
He was ambitious, shrewd. He used that discontent
to his advantage,
to his advantage. He wanted to be the savior of the empire.
the one to restore it to glory,
Exactly. And he used his relationship with Yang Guifei.
to get what he wanted. But how did their relationship go bad? They were close, right?
Closeness to the emperor's favorite was powerful,
Right.
but An Lushan wanted more.
Too much more.
He overplayed his hand.
What did he do?
One account says he accused Yang Guizhong of treason.
Wow. Trying to eliminate his rival.
To seize power for himself. High stakes.
What did the emperor think about all this?
He was stuck.
Between a rock and a hard place.
He cared for Yang Guifei and her family.
But he knew An Lushan was dangerous.
It was a balancing act.
One that didn't work out.
No. And that led to the An Lushan rebellion.
So the court was on edge.
Suspicion, intrigue everywhere.
A powder keg.
Waiting for a spark. And Lushan provided that spark.
When he launched his rebellion.
It was a devastating blow to the Tang dynasty.
How successful was the rebellion?
Very successful at first. They gained ground quickly.
What about the emperor?
He had to flee the capital.
With Yang Guifei.
And her family. They were running for their lives.
Imagine. From luxury and privilege to running for your life.
A stark reminder that no one is safe.
Not even the emperor.
No one. And as the rebellion went on, someone had to be blamed.
A scapegoat.
It was Yang Guifei and her family.
Why them?
They were symbols of the emperor's excess.
The reason he was neglecting his duties?
The people wanted them gone.
They wanted blood.
Yang Guizhong tried to protect himself, but it wasn't enough. As they fled, soldiers caught up with them.
Angry soldiers.
They stormed his camp.
And killed him.
And two of Yang Guifei's sisters.
A brutal scene. And things got even worse for Yang Guifei.
The rebellion raged on.
The pressure mounted.
The emperor was backed into a corner.
By his own soldiers.
They saw Yang Guifei as a problem.
They thought she was undermining the emperor.
Fueling the rebellion, they wanted her gone.
They wanted a sacrifice. This is it, isn't it? The heartbreaking ending.
The emperor had to choose. His love or his empire.
That's an impossible choice. What did he do?
He chose his empire.
He sacrificed Yang Guifei.
To appease his troops and stop the rebellion.
How did it happen?
She was taken to a Buddhist shrine.
A place of peace turned into a place of violence.
The emperor's guards strangled her.
What about the emperor? Was he there?
Some say he was, forced to watch. Others say he couldn't bear it, that he stayed in his quarters consumed by grief.
Either way, a devastating image. He was responsible for her death.
A tragic irony. Love and devotion weren't enough.
It was a hasty burial. No coffin, no ceremony.
From luxury to a nameless grave.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Yang Guifei, from The Emperor's Favorite.
To a tragic sacrifice.
It's a powerful story. What about the emperor?
Did he find peace?
After such a decision.
The sources say he was devastated by her death.
Really?
He mourned her deeply, kept her belongings close.
For years?
For years, there's a story that he tried to recover her body.
To give her a proper burial.
But it was too late. Only her bones remained.
It's a sad reminder. Even an emperor's love couldn't conquer death.
It makes you think about fate.
Was she destined for this ending?
It's a question that's haunted historians and poets.
For centuries.
And her story goes beyond history.
Beyond history.
It becomes myth, legend. Some believe she didn't die.
She escaped.
That she escaped to Japan, lived out her days in secret.
Like a lost princess.
A hidden life. It captures the imagination.
The hope for a different ending.
Even in the face of tragedy.
Even sticking to the historical accounts, her legacy is powerful.
Undeniable. You mentioned art and literature.
Inspired by her story.
Absolutely. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow.
An epic poem.
Written by Bai Jui, just decades after her death.
It tells her story. Her love, the palace, her death.
It's amazing how it still resonates.
Centuries later. Why do you think that is? What's so captivating about her story?
It speaks to us, our deepest emotions, love, ambition, beauty, betrayal.
The twists and turns of fate.
A cautionary tale about power, the fragility of love, and sacrifice.
Powerful themes. For our listener, what's the one thing they should take away?
From our deep dive into Yang Guifei's life.
What's the key takeaway?
History is about people. People like Yang Guifei, who lived, loved, and suffered.
She paid the price.
For the turmoil of her time.
It's a reminder to look beyond the battles and dates.
To see the human cost of the grand narratives of history.
A powerful message. Empires may fall, but individual lives
lives like hers.
They echo through time. Well, we've certainly gone deep today.
Deeper than the lecture trees.
A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this story.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
We'll be back with more stories from the past.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Until next time, keep exploring.